Today is a big day. Why, you ask? Well, because just over 3 months ago, I was diagnosed with a stress fracture in my hip during a sub 3 hour marathon prep. And today, after some time off my feet, focused rehab, and lots of patience, I'm back with 3 kilometers on the cards. So in today's video, let's explore my rehab process, some of my reflections from along the way, and join me for a couple of breakthroughs. Hello, good morning, and welcome to what is a very exciting day for several reasons. Later today, I am back running for an enormous distance, 3 kilometers. Excited, but also cautious and slightly nervous because 1, I'm back running, but 2, what if it feels terrible? That's going to be quite disheartening. We're all going to find out together as I film and share in real time. But today is a double training session, a 3 kilometer run I wouldn't really call training, more than assessing, so to speak. But we're kicking things off with an upper body session right here in HQ Gym. I've got some seated dumbbell press, I've got some weighted chin-ups, I have some tricep accessory work, and I have some other back related stuff which I will share with you all shortly. I probably should have, rehearsed the knowledge of what I'm training before reciting it to you, but here we are. Kicking things off today with some seated dumbbell press. I've been lifting 3 push-pull sessions per week for the past sort of 8 to 10 weeks as I've been recovering from injury, and I am feeling very good. And I might even be able to press the 45s overhead for a couple of reps today. I also forgot to mention, today is also an exciting day because I've been signed off for some lower body work. I've already done 3 sets of 3 at 80 kilos paused front squats this week, which are on the screen for you just now, and they felt fantastic. But today, I'm gonna try some deadlifts. Let's see what happens. I don't think I've ever pressed dumbbells heavier than 40 kilos in a seated dumbbell position, so I'm gonna try 45, and this could end up quite embarrassing. Okay, let's try and save some face here. I'll do 3 sets of 8 on those before moving on to everything else. Okay, 4th set, max reps at 30. Let's see how this feels. Okay, 3 sets of max sort of good reps with 10 kilo weighted vest on neutral grip chins. I'll then do 1 without the vest for 4 sets total. I've gone 9, 8, 7 with the vest on. I'd hope for 9 without the vest on. Oh my God. Excitement number 1 of the day was a complete and utter failure. The 45s went absolutely nowhere. But excitement number 2 of the day is that for the first time on the channel in over 4 months, you're gonna see some lower body movement. Excitement number 3 will occur this afternoon at the track. Based on how I felt with those squats on Monday, I think the main thing for me is just to be as mobile around the hip joint as I can be, because my body has not moved through a full range of motion under load in a long time. I've got a lot of hopping, a lot of strengthening exercises to work in, and that's ultimately it really. I'm very much a process over outcome driven person. I aim for progress, not perfection, and I'm hoping diligent rehab and focus will lead to some comfortable but light deadlifts right about now. 60 kilos is loaded, so what I'm really going to try and focus on is making sure that all my usual cues are the same as normal, because that way I'm kind of testing the movement as I will be progressing it, rather than because it's a lightweight getting lazy with it, which would be an easy trap to fall into. So for me, that's always barbell over my shoelaces, make sure that I'm nice and steady, big breath into my sort of bracing position, tighten my lats as if I'm bending the bar in, then hold that position as I go down to the bar. I grip with my index finger just on the knurling, pull the tension and the slack out, and let's see where we go from here. Little bit of instability around the hip, no pain. Oh, am I going down? No. Bueno. 80 kilos on the bar. One set of 8 at 60 kilos, 2 sets of 5 at 80 kilos, and I'm gonna call it there. Some squats and some deadlifts this week. Exciting. Next up, neutral grip, low incline press. Supersetted with some cable rows. So that's me. I'm gonna hit 3 sets of 12 on the neutral grip incline and on the single arm cable rows. And then Friday is where I've got a lot more of my sort of high rep arm assistance volume, face pulls, general supportive stuff around that shoulder, because that's still not 100%, hasn't been for most of the year, but it comes and goes. So I just make sure to reinforce that in my Friday sessions. I think I'll see you at the track. So we are here at the track, and in true Scottish summer fashion, there's a storm coming. The brief from my physio Benji is to try running for 3K, wait 48 hours and see how I feel, and then I can maybe try 5 kilometers on Sunday. Today is Wednesday for context. I am excited about this, but I must admit I'm a little bit sort of nervous, cautious, worried that I might be disappointed, not in terms of pacing or metrics or anything like that, but just that this is pain-free, it doesn't cause any issues. Recovery is never a linear process, so I'm not expecting to feel phenomenal and just start blasting it from here. All in all, I'm just excited to be getting moving. This is a big milestone in the recovery. I've already talked you through what the rehab process has been, so let's see how this feels.
Okay, so initial observations are, number one, my shorts were a lot looser than they last were when I was running in them, on account of my arse and thighs being a lot less dense than they previously were. A little bit of an inertia to break through to get moving, but the pain that I was feeling when this was at its peak is not what I'm feeling right now. It just feels a little bit underutilized, which it is. It feels a little bit unstable, which it is. It feels a little bit alien, which it is. So I'm not even halfway through this enormous 3 kilometer run, but so far so good, dare I say. Oh, it's not looking good for my week, because I've got to work in lower body training and running again. Oh, 3K complete, and it didn't take a huge amount of time because it was only 3 kilometers, and it felt pretty good. As I said whilst I was holding this thing, there was a bit of an inertia to break through. Confidence is going to take a while to build back for sure, but I've got some endorphins, but my hip feels very weak, which is to be max heart rate adjusted, 194. Not sure how you've got that, Garmin. Anyway, 452 per K pace, and heart rate was 146 average, which is a little bit higher than I was briefed. I was briefed at under 145, but all things considered, it was very conversational. Just felt rusty, alien, and out of practice, which is exactly what the reality is. Today has been part of a big week. Squats on Monday, definitely feel tight around the hamstrings, joints, just everything around the structure, but it hasn't been used. It's weak. It's worn down, it's not used proprioceptively, so all of this movement's definitely going to hinder it in some way. But the main thing is I'm using it again. I'm starting to rebuild motor patterns, rebuild familiarity. That's what's going to move me forwards. With the goals I've got next year, I'm going to be very diligent in terms of ramping up. There's no ego attached to my running at the moment. I don't have any desire to really get back to certain paces or certain volumes too quickly. I just want to be able to be comfortable on that hip, because I know the cycling volume, as that continues to build a little bit more aggressively, is going to carry me forwards in terms of aerobic and anaerobic ability, which can then be translated musculoskeletally into my legs once the running volume can rebuild. I'm just happy to be back completing all 3 of the components of triathlon. Swim, bike and golf hasn't really been, the conventional way of approaching things, but that's what I've been doing. 3 kilometers. Done. Let's head back to wherever I recorded the talk about my rehab to close things off.
Okay, so let's break down what this rehab process has looked like for me. On May the 25th, I ran Edinburgh Marathon, and unfortunately, my hip gave way from beneath me at 32 kilometers. I foolishly hobbled my way to the finish line in some of the most sustained pain I've ever experienced. Hence, foolishly. I saw my physio, Benji, who referred me on for an MRI and instructed 2 weeks of limited movement in crutches. The MRI results came back as a grade 2 stress response in my left hip. After those first 2 weeks of rest, I regained the ability to walk again, which is, always nice. Went to see Benji again, and we started to implement the following exercises. So 3 times a week at the end of my upper body sessions in the gym, I was hitting 2 sets of 8 single leg mini squats. That's per side with all these exercises, by the way. 2 sets of 8 of single leg glute bridges, really nice and controlled. 3 sets of 30 seconds side plank. 2 sets of 10 of banded bicycle crunches. And then 2 sets of 30 of banded lying leg raises, as well as holding a plank position for 3 sets of failure, alternating lifting each leg for 3 seconds at a time. Finally, 3 sets of 30 seconds holding a Copenhagen position on the bench. As well as this, I was signed off to spin my legs on the turbo trainer and give swimming a go with buoyancy shorts on to keep my hips up. 2 weeks of this, and I was then signed off to work in some single leg hamstring curls, leg extensions, and the hip thrust machine, as well as a few progressions of my previous exercises. After 6 weeks of this, I got back out onto the road on my bike, which I must admit gave me a real boost psychologically. And having seen Benji again on Friday, the 22nd of August, my hip was deemed to be in a much better place. So I was told to give 3 kilometers of running a go, as well as working in some light squats and light deadlifts, and see how things settle. Along with the following exercises: single leg goblet pistol box squats, single leg squats without the box, wall supported calf raises, Copenhagen planks, side planks, single leg glute bridges, as well as squats and deadlifts. And here we are. That has been my rehab process so far. It isn't over yet, but huge progress has been made, which is obviously great news. Okay, big statement incoming. I'm glad I got injured, in some ways. Why? Well, because it forced me to reflect upon a few things and has given me some valuable perspective. First of all, that movement is more than just metrics. Well, it is for me, anyway. As much as I did enjoy my marathon prep, I found some elements of it a little bit binary and perhaps restrictive. I don't live to train, I train to live. And I personally get more out of the variety, the exploration, and the adventure of training rather than the specific performance outcomes or timings. Secondly, my personal adaptation. My marathon training prep was specific, focused, and at points, quite aggressive. This was an attempt to overcome the inherent inefficiencies that I choose to work with. At 5'11" and 94 kilos or 207 pounds, I'm definitely on the heavier side when it comes to pushing the pace that I was over the marathon distance. And unfortunately, not as a result of long limbs and huge bounding gazelle-like strides. No, no, no. But rather as a result of short limbs and quite short, choppy strides. With my femurs specifically being very useful and conditioned for squatting big weights, but less so when it comes to marathon performance. More muscle mass means more blood flow and oxygen requirement, which is another factor to consider when it comes to efficiency. I've worked very hard for many years to build and maintain that muscle and strength, and in my heart of hearts, I'm still a bit of a meathead. I still love lifting weights. The point is that the training process was enormously valuable for me as a learning experience, even though the outcome wasn't what I'd hoped for. Brick by brick, rep by rep, I did a lot of reps and stacked a lot of bricks. These don't disappear, they're lessons that I can carry with me as I move things forwards. Thirdly, convenience. My final reflection is a simple one. The convenience of running is amazing and something that I have massively missed. The inconvenience of triathlon training is less amazing and is something I've been starkly reminded of. Choose what comes easily to you and follow the path that gets you excited. Whether that's lifting, running, swimming, cycling, BJJ, achieving 99 farming and RuneScape, or a combination of all of those things. If it's inconvenient and you care, it'll come easily as long as the right systems are in place. But wow, bike admin, mechanicals, and punctures can be a very frustrating affair. Okay, there we have it. A couple of breakthroughs. Definitely not a breakthrough with my dumbbell shoulder pressing, but if we'd had a pair of 42.5 kilo dumbbells, I think today would have been even more exciting than it was already, because I did some light deadlifts and I ran 3 kilometers. So I hope you can all share in my excitement by liking the video down below, commenting with your thoughts, feelings, and or insights or any experience with running injuries, triathlon versus running, etc., that you want to share. Whilst you're in the vicinity, please do hit subscribe and ding that little bell icon whilst you're in the region. That's been my rehab process. That's been my reflections on not running for a period of time. I am excited to be back. The dopamine rush that you get from just being able to lace up your shoes and get out there and enjoy whatever comes your way in terms of weather, which is something I've had to get very used to living where I do, is unmatched. And for that reason, I'm very excited to build from here. Swimming, biking, running, and lifting. That is my focus. And you are going to come along for the ride because you've just hit subscribe, aren't you? And that is that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.